Hello, everybody. I am here with Emmanuel. Emmanuel is the owner of Fight Club. It's a club here in Toronto. And we're going to be talking about runner's energy, those people that are suffering from a little bit of burnout. And Manny here, he specializes in martial arts and how that can cross over into your running patterns and what we can learn from that to enhance that energy to avoid the burnout aspect. Yeah. And I know Manny, a couple of years ago, I joined Fight Club for a boot camp class at his facility. It was a pretty great class that kicked my butt. And now my son does archery with Manny. So we go back a couple of years. But Manny, tell me from your perspective. I mean, you're not a stranger to running. You said you've done.
I've done a lot of running. Mostly sports running. So what I mean by sports running is like I played a lot of football. I was a competitive rugby player for years. So running was always a part of the training, right? And we had to, especially for those sports, was a lot of running. With sprinting, there was distance running. You needed a base level of cardio. When I boxed, there was a lot of road work that we did to build up the cardiovascular and I did lots of different things. And then I also did some of the marathon series in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. I realized very quickly my body style is not really meant for marathon running, but I loved the half. The half was great. I found that very beneficial and it was really good on my body. And so I have some background with running. And the only reason I stopped it is really because it's good for certain people, but I stopped it because about 21 years ago, I had reconstructive knee surgery. And then it was just the cartilage, and it was just, there came that tipping point where I enjoy it, but then there's pain that comes with it with the long kilometers. So I just keep myself now to about 5 or 10K, and I'm pretty happy with that because I train quite a bit at the Fight Club. So I do have some experience with running, so I'll help out whatever you can. So the question was burnout?
Yeah.
So the condition of burnout usually is closely associated with overtrain. So when people train so much that their body is in overtrain, and the first place that you notice overtrain is in your mood. So if you want to wake up and you say, okay, I'm going to go for a run, and you want to look forward to that. So mood, so one of the very first, very subtle things that is affected is your mood. So this, not just for running, for any athlete, so basketball players, hockey players, the coach's role is not just tactical. He watches the players, he gets to know the players, and then he says, okay, Eddie's not playing the way you used to. He doesn't look as happiness. You start to kind of feel a little sad. You feel a little bit quiet. You're not as happy as a good indicator, right? So that's where a coach really gets to know a player when he's good. And then when you fall far off that, you realize that your mood's being impacted. And that's the first sign. Athletes, the next level will be they get angry easily. They get easily upset. So that something happens and you see that, that's a little bit of an overreaction. Like, there's certain levels of anger. And, you're stressed when you're driving and somebody cuts you off and you all of a sudden, you really are more upset than normal. Other times you can shut it off. So you know that your stress levels are pretty high. Athlete is the exact same. When they're overtrained or they're burnout stage, the body's mood is affected first. So when you're talking about training for not to get burnt out, you need to make sure that the mood is good. Right. So what I mean by mood, it's like your motivation. So you're training right when every time you go for a run, it's like, I can't wait to go for a run. I'm really looking forward to this run. I really need it and I want it. I feel it. It's not it's not habitual. Like I got to go for a run. Damn, I don't really want to go, but I got to go. No, I used to love looking forward to my runs. When I was in school, it was such a big part of my education. But there's a methodology. I think it's a Greek one by background, where they said a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy body.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I used to go home from university, read, study until my brain was full. And I was like, okay, nothing else is going in, right? Then I'm like, okay, get my shoes on. I'm going for a run. I go for a 30, 40 minute, 1 hour run, depending how I felt. And then I came back, took a shower, and I'm ready to go again. Like my brain is clear now. And I'd absorb the information when I was running. I would think about what I read. My eyes would get a rest from looking at the lines and on all the information. And then it would start it all over. And it would be always that journey. So I looked forward to my runs. It was a positive thing. So make sure that your mood is good for running. It can be music. Like sometimes you get, if you like music, it can be music. But music's not a sustainable one. It's hit or miss, right? Like you want to be able to have it internal. Like you want to be able to say, it's in me that wants to go for a run.
Find that passion or drive.
Yeah. And, look at any elite athletes. Elite athletes are amazing. They have the same thing, guys. Like I've trained high-level basketball players, football players, hockey players, high-level guys. And people often wonder how they get through because they're doing this every day. Like how much hockey do you play and say, okay, I can't wait to play again? It's tough. It's tough for all athletes. The mood is it. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you say that the coach would notice the mood before the students?
100%.
Yeah.
That's why you get a coach. That's why it's very hard to coach yourself. Some people can at a basic to intermediate level, but not next level. You can't, because you can't see yourself. Yeah. I can see other people. It's like I can't critique, but I can't say I'm so good.
Yeah.
Other people can say I'm good, but me, it's something really wrong about saying I'm good. Like, I don't know. We'll see. And I've had myself videotaped for years, guys. Like people have videotaped me in martial art classes, wanting to learn countless times. And every time I see myself video, I say, what the hell am I doing? The hell am I doing? Like, why am I swinging my arms like that? Yeah. Why am I scratching my head? Why am I like, why are my shoulders like this? I don't know why it happened. Yeah. And you can't see yourself. And the same with your voice, right? When you hear your voice, it's hard to imagine what I sound like.
Yes.
Am I doing all that?
Everybody
so
says that.
You can't critique yourself. The coach is so important. And a good coach too. There's a lot of coaches, but a good coach that really knows you.
For runners out there, for a lot of endurance runners, people that are just kind of doing it for their own fitness or just getting into it, they don't have coaches. So maybe listening to their coworkers or their family, like some of the comments they might be making, like, you're a little cranky lately, or things like that. Those might be signs that you are heading in the direction towards burnout, and that something's got to give. You either have to support your body a little bit more or create some avenues for more rest.
100%. Yeah. So now we'll get to this. So first we're identifying the problem, right? Yeah. Now we can look at some of the cures, right? Because you're right. Not everybody has access to a great coach, but everybody has access to YouTube. And a lot of people have access. And they're like, listen, there's a lot of garbage on there. There's no doubt. But if you look, there's great guys out there. They're really, and they're just listening to their words. So I'm motivated two ways: by what I see, what I read, and what I watch. So this is why, as a martial artist, people constantly send me fight scenes, like street fighting scenes that people have videotaped with their smartphone of some guy getting his, jumped. And they're like, wow. And I'm like, I will never watch this because it imprints my mind. I know violence is out there. I know it's out there. I know there are bad people out there. I don't need to be reminded every week. I don't need that. I understand that it's there. But everything that you watch, everything you imprints your mind. So if I listen to a running coach, because there's tons of really good running coaches out there that they're putting all this content, much like yourself, you're putting great content out there. So you listen to it and wow, you said, I didn't have that perspective. I never thought about that. And now when you go running, you think about that, right? You actually think about it. You need to look at also taking care of your body. So it's very hard for us to always be in a good mood. Like that's kind of, it's nice to say we're always in a good mood, but it's not, but we can help ourselves. So professional athlete, NBA player, baseball player, a hockey player, they get massages every day. Every day. And why? It's not just to take care, they feel good. The massage, there's different types. Some massages go in and remove tension and stuff. And then there's a part of the massage that is meant to teach the body, this is how I want you to feel. That's what vacations are. Vacations are like, we go away and we're like, wow, this is how I feel when I'm out of my normal routine. And you bring that feeling home of like, oh, there was Europe, oh, there was that beach. Like you bring that feeling inside you, and you look at your life and you say, I want to make my life like that, at least a little bit. So when I get a massage, I'm like, this is the way I want my body to feel when I run. This is optimum human performance. And it's known in different states. Some people call it flow. You'll hear it often referred to as a flow state. And the flow state is super interesting because it is not, it won't make you happy. A flow state is when, you've had those days where you wake up and just, I don't know, you just get a ton done. And it's just, you got into this rhythm and all of a sudden you got this, you got that, you got this. And then you're like, wow, I got so much accomplished today. And there was a rhythm and a cadence to it. And running is the same. When you get the right rhythm in running, meaning your pace, not somebody else's, you will find that you'll speed up naturally without trying. The problem with runners I see is that they try to go fast.
Yes.
Trying sucks. I tell people trying is horrible. Why? If I were to tell you, okay, so I've got the way here. I've got the secret to life. It's the hardest possible way, the hardest thing. You're gonna kill yourself, but and you'll be like, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
If I were to say, listen, man, I've got a way to live life that is, and it's great. It's great. You'll be like, I'm listening.
Yes.
Like, we want the power and our strength and our abilities to come from relaxed motion that is enjoyable. Why would you want to do anything that's not enjoyable? Like, our human nature is all around enjoyment. You can get enjoyment out of running. You haven't, because you've not done it the right way.
Yes.
And that's why you're burned out.
Yeah.
And you have a hard time saying, let me step back and do this. And if you want me to get, we can get into the causes, but we're kind of in that we've isolated the problem as a burnout. And now we're talking mood, which is noticeable because you don't feel much joy from running. You start to become more of a chore that you've got to do, right? So now we're
that motivation.
To motivate. So keep motivated. And you can get motivated by reading about running. You can get motivated about watching some videos from experts that talk about running form, or they share their experiences about how they motivate themselves to keep running, or they share their ups and downs. Sometimes just listening to somebody's journey is also motivating, so that you realize that in anybody's life there's ups and downs, and that's a normal part of it. So it's also fine too. And it also might isolate that what you're feeling is way off the grid, and that you really need to look at something, right? Because we don't want to be stubborn. Right? We don't want to be consumed. We want to be concerned. So if there's something, I'm concerned about it, but I'm not consumed. I don't have to run. That is where all the injuries lie.
Yeah.
Because our bodies are wonderful at telling us what's wrong. They tell us what's wrong, and we decide not to listen, because the program we have is go hard or go home.
Yeah.
This is really a horrible one. This is not good. I'm all for grit. I get, but grit is a little bit different. Grit is past that. Not listening to your body and calling it grit is dangerous. That's where you get the bad knee, the ankles, like all that stuff. Like my injury, my knee injury happened from a bad tackle in rugby. Was not. I always have taken care of myself, but life has these accidents in for us, right? That's fine. But I see a lot of knee injuries that are self-inflicted. That the signs are there, and you didn't do it, and you didn't follow them, and so that's just one example, right, of this. So look at your mood
versus going too far.
Yeah.
Grit would be you could push those limits, but if you feel pain, if you feel dips in mood, if you feel not like yourself, then that's a sign you've gone beyond that grit into the overdrive.
But we all know that feeling. I'm all like, we know, like, you don't have to be a genius. You can see this is a pain I can endure, and there's ones that I can't endure. This is the pain that is bad. It feels like a bad pain. There's no doubt in my mind. Like I've had pain where, like, wow, that's interesting. The pain, especially in ankles, knees, back, neck, those ones are clear as day. And there are definitely certain ones. And if you just read about running and read about the injuries, you'll know. I'm sure you might have some of them, and you'll see the way to cure them, and just follow the instructions. What ends up happening though is that we get fixated on getting something done as compared to the journey of it. Right? That you enjoy the whole thing. Like, what else do you have to do with your life? I don't know. Like, that's what I tell people. They come to me, I want to learn how to fight. I want to be like a master at this. I'm like, okay, you will. It'll happen as it happens for you, depending on really how stubborn you are. I mean, if you're open-minded, everything in life comes to you quite quickly. If you're stubborn, it comes slower. And that's just how it is. I have 2 kids, and they're drastically different. And learning comes to them different. Sometimes in one way, sometimes the other way. But just enjoy the whole journey. This is like a big thing. Like, I just loved running, and I ran. And then I never thought about running a marathon. I just said one day, you know what? I want to work on my breathing. I'm going to try it. That's the way it should happen.
I think that's something runners get caught up on, especially when you start with a 5, you think, oh, hey, I can do a 10, then I can do a half, then I can do a full, then I can do an ultra. That the distances are always being pushed, or you're trying to get a little bit faster. Like, it's good to have that personal best with yourself, that own personal challenge. But if you're not enjoying the journey anymore, if you're not enjoying why you got into it in the first place, then something has to be reassessed.
You just said a big word, why. Why we do something is really important. So I'll share with you just a quick example. If you were to ask me in my 20s why I was going to university, so I was just in the middle of it, I would tell you, well, I want to get a good job and make a lot of money and have a successful career. And that why I would say, yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. If you were to ask me now that I'm 50 years old, say, why did you go to university? I would tell you it was to make my parents happy. The why changed. The why changed because I grew, and the answer was deeper than the surface. The first reason, when you ask why I run, you'll get the quick answer. You'll get the mental, I'm running because this. Yeah. But then later on, you realize later on that it's different. Yes. The why changes. You always have to be, why are you doing something? Like why I started martial arts, I didn't want to get beat up. I went into high school and I'm a small dude and everybody, you went from public school, you're a kid, into high school where grade 13 students were, this is the last, there was, they were like 19, they were men, full beard and shaving. And you're a little kid and go, I'm going to get my ass kicked right now if I don't learn how to fight, if I don't learn how to protect myself. Yeah. But that's not the reason now. Now it's totally different. I don't say bad people. I don't go to bad places. It was quite good for me, and some people might get mad here and there, and I learned how to calm them down. Okay. Because I realized people are overreacting in our society. They're stressed. They're saying things they don't know what they're aware of. So I learned how to calm people down. I learned how to calm myself down. I'm happier. So why I do martial arts is totally different now. So the why will change. And also the answer to why is quite deep. And when you find the why, what's magical about the why is when you find it, you'll figure out how. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. It's why is the hard one. Because when you don't know why, you're constantly searching for it. This is why you're doing it. And for each one of your listeners, the why has got to be a deep question. And there's lots of great stuff on the internet about those kind of things. There's wonderful people sharing about the real purposes of life. It doesn't have to be heebie-jeebie either. Mm-hmm. It's really, come on, we're all people and individuals, and we need to understand why we do everything. Yeah. And you don't even expect it to know. It might come to you next year, but at least you're searching for it. Yeah, okay. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing it right there.
Yeah. I find that once you find that why, it makes a big difference in all avenues, not just kind of your fitness performance levels, 100%. but a lot of people will get into running or athletics or fitness more from like a vanity metrics. You want to drop a few pounds, or you want to bulk up or tone, or those sorts of things. And that's fantastic, right? That'll improve our general health and well-being. But if we can go a little bit deeper and find that drive, that inner passion, like maybe you're doing it for your family. Maybe you're doing it to lead by example. Maybe you're doing it, like I ran my first marathon. My dad passed away, and it was the motivation to kind of honor him that really like pushed me through. There was a whole other and just in that whole process, it opened up a ton of other whys and passions and drives that ran so much deeper than I ever knew was possible. So you can really, really, and going back to that life's gratitude, why are we here? This you have one shot at this. Let's make it a good one and find that why. That's a great point. Yeah.
And just be open to whatever it is. Sometimes we don't want to admit what the why is, right? And the losing weight is huge. A while ago I saw, because I've been in the martial art industry for a while, and you're always looking at, okay, how do you represent martial arts? Usually you think it's like fighting. But when you survey people about why they've joined a martial art club, it's mostly number one, to lose weight. Okay. And second, social, they like the social aspect. Yeah. And it's third, fourth, fighting, self-defense. It's really down the list. But yet, what do you see? Everybody kicking and punching in the postcards, which is so wrong. So weight loss is huge and has a little roots in vanity and stuff, but not always. Just getting to a healthy weight is good enough for people. And a lot of people are running that are not there. And it's super important, not for the look, but for the impact that it takes on your body. Because if I were to throw a 10 or 20 pound backpack on your back and tell you to go running, you will feel the impact on your body. Mm-hmm. Your knees, your back will hurt. So it's a big difference. So we want to get to a healthy weight when we run. But when people use it for weight loss, I'm sure, I hope all your listeners know, but I'll say it just to make sure. Weight loss happens at a certain heart rate. So you're depending on how high your heart rate is. People think that the harder you go, you're sweating, that you're actually burning fat, but you're not. The fat. So if you look at, let's say, use a metric, because it depends on your age, right? But around about 120 to 125, 130 beats per minute, that's a great place to burn some fat burns a little bit of sugar like in there. When you run higher than that, which is quite common, and most people call it the talk test, where if we're running together and I can say a sentence, I can say, how was your day?
Yeah.
And you give me a sentence, then we're probably at around that 130. Like we're pretty good. Like we're pretty good because we can talk. If I can like, okay, what? And if I can only say one word, then I'm at 130, 140. And the difference is not 10 beats per minute. The difference is my body now burns sugar. So when you're burning sugar as a fuel source, you understand that you only have about 30 to 40 minutes of that stuff. So now, meaning glucose or glycogen. So then what you see those runners, they've got the sugar packs, they've got they're drinking the drinks and what they are, they're scientists now. You're playing with a chemical reaction in your body, and you'll know because your results in your race will be all over the place. Your results will be like sometimes you're this time, that time, this time. There's no consistency because it's a chemical balance that you're playing with sugar. Okay. What I teach people when they run, I don't teach a lot, but a handful have come to me, and I've helped them through doing marathons. Some in the local area here, I won't use their names, but they're great guys and great people. But they came to me and wanted to run, and I got them on the course. I said, listen, you need to teach yourself to run at 120 to 125 beats per minute. You need to train yourself. At first, it'll seem impossible. Get a heart rate monitor, and as you run, don't speed up. You watch your heart rate monitor. If it says 125, it beeps, and then you know you're on course. And if it goes to 130, slow down. If it goes to 115, speed up. But you keep your heart rate there. And what happens is over 6 to 8 weeks, your body starts to say, Emmanuel is not going to scare me, because when your heart rate goes up, you're scared, and the body will dump sugar into you to help you because it thinks you're running away from a dinosaur or something. It doesn't know you're running. It just knows that, you're doing something. Well, the magic happens when your body gets comfortable and says, okay, Emmanuel's got this. We don't need to worry anymore. We're going to save the sugar and we're going to use the fat. And the body starts to burn fat. And that's the magic of the system, is that now you're going to burn fat as compared to burn sugar. Because burning sugar, I mean, I've done it in sports. I went out, played my ass off in the field, come home and eat the fridge out. I'm starving. My glucose level, it's my body saying, get your stores back. We have no more stores. You need it's freaking out. So that's why you eat a box of chocolates or the whole thing, which is, again, counter to it, right? So sugar is the key. It's really a devil there. It's really got to be careful of it. Just eat good food, and when you exercise, keep it at a good heart rate. But what happens is it's not glorious. You watch these guys running so fast, but did you see all the time that they put in to that skill? I mean, people the Raptors are in the playoffs now, and to see all these superstar basketball players and they see them doing amazing things. You have not seen the countless hours of juggling and balancing two balls and tennis balls and eyes closed work, and you haven't seen that. I've never made it anywhere. But you need to work on yourself as an athlete first, and then you run. But you're an athlete first on all levels. So I can encourage all the listeners, just really have a look at your diet. Make sure that you have a heart rate monitor when you're running. It's paramount. And you only need it for about 2 months, because after a while, you'll know what it feels like. When I'm running, I can tell you within 5 beats per minute where I'm at, because I know the feeling. I know the feeling. It's very similar to driving a car. Like when I was a standard car, I'd have to look. Okay, I'm in first, then I'm in second. Then after a while, I listened to the engine, and I knew where I was in the engine. I didn't need to look at it at all. It doesn't take long, because you just never thought about it. But your heart, the heart, when people want to express an emotion, they always hold their heart. They say thank you, because the what's it called now? The not vibration, but the pulse from the heart is the strongest in the body. It is the strongest. That's why when we want to express gratitude, we always hold our heart. The beat and the pulse is the hardest there. So when you start to listen to that beat, you say 130. 120. I can feel it. You can feel it. And you're good. It doesn't take long. But I always wear it now if I'm doing stuff. I just find it's a good, it's one number that is probably the most valuable out there for you, is to know your heart rate. When you know your heart rate, you know how hard you're working, and you know whether you're in a good zone for burning fat or sugar or both. You might be in there. But if you're that type of runner that's just putting back like, gummy bear, the chewies and the drinks and stuff, I don't know. Like if you're maybe as a not marathon, maybe like the ultra guys or maybe like the triathletes, you might need to play, but I would limit yourself. There was I is it Sarah Hughes? Who was the Canadian cyclist? There was a Canadian cyclist that won quite a few medals. So I forget it. I forgot. I love cycling too. But she used to, when it's very common for cyclists to have like power bars in the back and they'll be eating. And then I remember seeing her going for a ride and she had like a jelly sandwich, peanut butter sandwich, actual food. And I'm like, well, okay, so this is peculiar. Why? So, and then asked about it later on in a forum somewhere. Back then it was a forum, and they said, I just like whole food. I find my body absorbs whole food better.
Yeah. I find a lot of Iron Men are starting to go more that route. They'll have full eggs, they'll have sweet potatoes, they'll have like homemade like energy balls and stuff all like packed in around them.
So early Tour de France, here's a funny thing. If you ever get a chance to watch early Tour de France video, so this is way back before power drinks and stuff. Okay? These guys would ride their bikes like hell, and then through the Tour de France, and then they would stop, get off their bikes, they would be able to run into any food store, they'd grab French steak, cheese, Orangina, and they would just eat. They would stop and eat under a tree and then get back on the bike and run. There was no eating on your bike. No. We're going to stop. We need fuel. We need fuel. They had no power drinks. They had no Powerade or Gatorade or anything. It was water, and now we need to eat. We can't keep going. We're running out of energy. So they would stop. French steak, it was whole food. Cheese, French steak. I was like, it was asinine. I was like, oh, I miss that. I would love to see that. You get rid of all that stuff. Only whole foods.
Only whole foods.
I would be. You imagine the back of their jersey would look like grapes. Pretty funny. Pretty funny.
Well, any like final tips from martial arts that would cross over that you find for burnout?
Burnout. So look at the mood. Like I said, watch. Get good people around you. Like meaning. It can be coaches, but if you're running, there's like running groups, like little running groups. You don't have to do them all the time. You do it once a month or something. But running with other people helps you. The social aspect is very good. Not just at competitions. Competitions, everybody's really focused on the competition. Try to, there's tons of local groups in Toronto. There's one on the beaches I know of. There's some over here. There's cycling groups. Same thing that I've been, and I learned so much by being part of them because there's always much better cyclists or runners there, and you can pick their brain. You can see how they do it, and then really get a good, whether it's osteo or chiro, and make sure you're going for massages at least once a month, at least as an absolute minimum. And it's a small investment. I don't know what else to tell you. It's a small investment, and it's worth it. You will not regret it because your body will feel good. That means you'll feel like running. So take care of yourself. Now there's foam rollers. There's all this other stuff too, like stretching, and some people will do like yoga classes. And those are great. Like anything that will maybe change your mind and relax the body. And if you're doing yoga, there's people that I believe there's over 30 different types of yoga. There's not just yoga. The one that you'd be looking for, there's probably a few, but the one I know of is called yin yoga. Yin yoga is known as the restorative yoga. And so you walk into a yin yoga class, it's really bizarre. You'll see old people and you'll see elite athletes. You'll see the two. You won't see anything in between. The elite athlete's like, I just need to relax. And the old person's like, I just want to relax. And it's really slow. You relax into poses and you're there for a long time. So your body, at the beginning, your body will relax. But when you stay there for an extra 2 minutes, and it's not hard, you're not trembling. It's not hard. It's super relaxing. The instructor will literally walk you through shutting off the different muscles, and you feel yourself like dripping and dripping. It's like that couch that just calls your name. You just feel every hour you're dripping into the whole thing, melting into it. So this will really help your mood, and it will help you avoid the burnout stage because there's the body's being taught how to feel good. And then just re-examine your running style and re-examine the way you're running. Maybe they're just doing too many kilometers, Like as a martial artist, I can't go full out every day. Like it's too much. Like look at now, you're seeing these players are playing basketball. We got the Raptors. These players are playing for 3 hours every third day, and they're burnt out. How many runners are running every day or every other day? I mean, you got to really understand that burnout's your enemy right now. It's not you. The better you feel, the better you'll run. So just keep yourself in that state. It could be a sauna. It could be staying well hydrated. It could be a whirlpool, like just the hot water to really, do that. all that stuff plays part for burnout, and it happens in all sports. Just keep yourself constantly motivated, positive, 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 positive. What you listen to, what you see on TV, what you watch on YouTube, keep it positive, and you'll avoid burnout quite a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
So just to recap some of the stuff that you brought up here. So overtraining, watch for that, and using the heart rate monitor as one of your tests to see if you're overtraining, keeping those beats between, was it 120 to 130-ish? You were saying 120, 25.
You can go higher, but it should not be very long.
Okay.
It should not be long.
Yeah.
Don't. It just at the beginning.
More
and then,
for the interval training, save it for that.
Yeah, you can save it for intervals, and you can also say to yourself, you want to get faster because you're efficient, not because you're trying. That was one of the big things. Trying to go faster is a very inconsistent result. But if I teach myself to be efficient in life, all of a sudden I'm getting a lot done. Like, you know, those people that are organized, they get a lot done because they're organized. Like, you're organizing the way you're going about this. You're not rushing or panicking into it. You're saying, I got this. It's more of an organized approach to the whole. Your body feels like I'm getting more done because I'm organized. Like, I'm going faster because my body is relaxed, because the fuel system is a good one, because fat is a really good fuel system. It's a low burning fuel. It's very consistent. And even a very skinny guy, like, you watch these marathon runners, they're so skinny. You're saying, how do they have tons of fat, even if you can't see it? The internal fat stores are a lot, and they can pull them out. And you're in that state because you're going to get the second wind. You're going to get the third wind. You're like, all of a sudden, you're like, man, halfway through the marathon, I feel strong. That's the state you want to be in. That's the home run. You've nailed it there. That's what you want.
So watching the mood and listening to what your friends, your colleagues, your family is saying.
Run with people. Run with them.
Find that group. I find for myself, if I'm a little snappy at the kids, that's my benchmark. Sometimes I'm heading in that wrong direction. So if you find you're snapping at the people you love,
believe me, as a martial art teacher, because I teach, the hardest thing I've trained a lot of people. The hardest thing with the kids. The kids' classes are, you can say a wrong thing to an adult and do something, and you can say sorry later on. It's cool, but kids, you cannot. So my mood is the number one thing in that kids' class that I teach at the club, which is awesome. Like, 30 kids in a class, and they're all there. It's extremely ecstatic, but they're kids, right? They have their ups and down days, and you've got to be, as a teacher, got to be like, really know why you're there and really be positive, because it can easily start to affect them, right? And you'll see, they'll notice that you're upset. They'll be upset.
Feel that,
They'll feel it. So and luckily I've paid attention to those things to stay away. For me, why I teach the kids and how I teach the kids, just quite simply, is that I see them as adults. I don't see them as kids. I try to imagine, what are you going to need? What do you look like at 21? And what do I need you to know? And that's how that keeps me in a good place, because I see it as like, okay, so this is not finished. Because by the time you try to understand a kid at 10, they're 11 and they're different, and they're 12 and they're different. So don't bother. Just understand them. Just see them as a one big piece. And the running is the same thing. You will run a marathon. See it as a piece. There's no doubt you can do it, and do it with consistency if you're just patient with it, and be aware of your mood. You just don't stop. Keep going, but be aware of your mood.
You're mentoring the person they will become.
Yes.
And you're giving them the tools now.
That's right. Yeah.
To support them.
Yeah. And it's funny, because adults say that to me. They've watched Teach the Kids class, and even the archery, which Tanner's part of. It's like, they look at me and they're like, I wish I had you as a coach when I was younger. And those are the feedbacks that they say, because they see that if they had that, they would have been different. So that tells me that I'm doing the right thing. But and that impacts my mood. And I'm like, I feel good now, because I've heard that from other people. So it's good.
Yeah. Since we're talking about the kids there, recap, change that content, change the social media content, change the video game content. There's so much violence we're exposed to. That's going to impact like what you're thinking of. It's going to impact your mood. If you're feeling a little bit more anxious, that depression, sad, angry, it could be stemming from some of that negativity. So start to switch it over, so we're getting some more positive vibes, and the more like reaching more into that, asking yourself why, finding yourself, and like bringing that, because we're training ourselves to be in this stressed, burnt out state. We need to shift things and train ourselves to be in a happy, relaxed, productive
and the video
state.
games on that side, guys, and for the parents that are out there, the video games that you see now. So I've trained quite a few military people, usually special forces, And some have gone back. They're retired now, so we're talking they would have served in like the 80s or 90s at that time. And when they watch some of the video games that the kids are watching now, they will tell you that that stuff is way too realistic. And when they watch it, they're absolutely panicked. And that's what gets me, is the expression on their faces like, we're trying to forget this. Like, and you understand the what we've seen is mentally scarred our brains forever. We'll never forget it. So now when you have a military veteran just said that to you, and now your kid is watching that, you don't think that that's marking their brain? Like, I can't, like, I look at some of the games, you're like, okay, they're not too bad. They have that limit, but look at them closely. Ask yourself, everything that's happening there is imprinting a line of code in your kid's brain.
So interesting that it created a sense of anxiety in a trained professional who was trained
way
how to
too
deal
real.
with things
Way
like this.
too real.
And how is that supposed to affect a young brain, right?
Yeah, it's
crazy.
horrible.
So again, find your flow state.
Yeah,
that was kind of
and research this, guys. Research this. It's some homework for you. I can go on about flow is huge.
Okay.
If you go onto YouTube, you type in flow. The author's name there's a book written on it. Flow is Michael, and the last name is just the longest thing you could possibly. It's the whole alphabet. It starts with a C. I'll try. It goes on, like, it's beautiful. It's such a long name, but his name's Michael, and last name starts with a C, and it's very long. But it's flow state. I will. I'll put it in there. It's honestly, it'll change your life because this is not. The concept is not introduced as a fitness thing. It's introduced as a life thing, but it has incredible aspects to all sports, including running. Huge. And when you get into that state, you will understand why people win things, because they're in a state of flow, which is highly productive. Represents the maximum power, represents the maximum ability, and the optimum place. So not disturbing motivation. So those athletes that are in flow are, they're that guy who just won the Stanley Cup. We're just having fun out here. That's the words they're saying. We're just having fun out here. And each won a Stanley Cup. Are you kidding me? Like, that's what I want to be when I cross the finish line in a marathon. I want to feel like, yeah, man, I am having so much fun here. Not like I just made it. Like, this is not what you want.
Yeah. So they found that flow. They found that enjoyment in the journey, right?
Yep.
Enjoy the journey. And if you're not enjoying that journey, find that support group. So either find a running group like Running Room or whatnot, or those qualified practitioners that you were speaking of before, somebody else that can take a look at maybe the physiology and support that musculoskeletal system so that you can get back up and get those energy levels up. Yeah. Well, thank you, Manny. It was a joy speaking with you today. We'll have some info on Manny's website for you to head out and check out some more of his awesome stuff. Manny, what's your podcast?
It's on my website. Just I call it the Manny Minute. It's like it's about. I keep mine short. I mean, they're related to martial art topics, but they kind of touch on all kinds of stuff. I don't keep it to just martial art. I'm a firm believer that a martial artist is an artist, right? So you're an artist like a musician or an artist of some sort. So the inspiration is the same for all artists, right? Yeah. But if you're on my website, and we'll have that in the notes and stuff, you can see it there as a podcast, and I've got tons of them listed with all kinds of topics.
Yeah, I find I've listened to a few of Manny's podcasts, and great mindset pieces in there, and it applies to even if somebody's not into anything athletics, any aspect of your life. But all right, we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.